booming baritone voice.
Baritone voice.
Baritone voice with boy of war.
Welcome back.
Controlling the boy.
Yes, we are.
You've got pew arrows, a whole kit. We just unlocked Atreus. This is good times.
I didn't want to stop playing yesterday. I kept afterwards.
All day Ginge
I want to
was.
play more God of War.
Wobble gal. Stay harder than being a streamer.
Yeah, we got a preset yesterday, and she was like, "How can you? It must be difficult that you can't play games when you want to."
Yeah. This is what you guys do to us. You prevent us from playing titles when we want. Shame.
Shame.
There you go. Top of the morning, me fellow peasants. How you doing?
Oh, it's Thanksgiving, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is.
It is. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Happy gobble day.
Gobble gobble. Or Fixgiving, as we.
Oh yeah, that was trending on Twitter. Fixgiving. Some of them were just purely humour, and it's like, using Fixgiving like hilariously, like a turkey with a fat ass, kind of.
That was funny.
Like popping with like gravy instead of like turkeys, it's like twerkies.
There was a lot of.
And then you just got a bunch of thirsty ass ratchy bitches, just like, ooh, there's a trending tag that I can show my fat ass on.
What was the whole She-Hulk like?
Oh my
There was
God,
lots
there's
of
some
She-Hulk stuff going on.
There's big She-Hulk fetishes going around. I don't know if that tickles any of your pickles. Or have we got any furries in the house? It always seems like anything thick related, you end up with quite a tsunami of furry.
There is, yeah.
I do genuinely wonder how big furry culture has got. Like, even those who don't fully embody it, like when I went to Pittsburgh, there was a city of them. A city of furries.
I remember seeing the videos, yeah. It's
like I was going to say hundreds descended. I would say thousands descended everywhere on the streets. Now those are the ones who are like outed. They're out the closet furries.
Yeah.
How many
It's
in the closet furries are there?
probably quite a few, and I tip my hats off to them. Some of their costumes are really well made, like the way they've got, but it's just the premise of
It's just the
furry
premise.
just puts me off.
Hey, but no shaming, right? No shaming. You
what you wanna
whatever
do.
you're into. Except for, I don't know if any of you watched last night's episode of Chainsaw Man.
Oh,
What? Did anyone watch it? Oh my God. I can't recommend and encourage and implore anyone watching this to go watch Chainsaw Man.
I mean, I suppose some people know the story already, don't they, through the manga? Obviously, the manga's been out before, but
But that was a wild episode. That
Yeah.
was on the nose. That crossed some freaky lines, man. Andy, hello, mate. Hello. You watched the little podcast I did with SEAL Team 7. I really enjoyed that. That was great. Also, for anyone who's just signing in now or just watching this on the playthrough and you're just interested in God of War, you may want to skip along the timeline and find when we start the stream. Because there's something I want to talk about, guys. There's something I need to get off my chest. I've been attacked.
he's been attacked.
My character has been attacked. I feel affronted and confronted. And Bree came out and she knew I was in that state because I was tippy-tapping away. She's like, "You're angry, aren't you?" I was like, no.
I just get used to it. Every now and then I see Pez just being like,
Yeah. Well, what it was basically, and I'm not even angry at the people. It's always the thing that gets me most is when you feel like you're being misrepresented for your views. But it's come round on the circuit. I'm getting roasted, dragged for versus 13 stuff in a big way. And there were always two sides to this, and we was kind of going down this tunnel.
Yeah.
You didn't really know the nuances of my experience with versus.
no, I knew you were somebody that, again, liked the idea. Like when you saw it, I remember you talking about it and things like that. And,
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And to this day, I still feel like versus is relevant. It's a relevant discussion. It's a flashpoint.
Yeah.
A creative and narrative flashpoint in the Final Fantasy series that has got us to where we are. A darker, more mature Final Fantasy. FF16. You know, while that is Yoshi P in his division, it still has implications even for Katase and Nomura and the branch that they're going down, where 7 Remake is right now. The changes that are happening with 7 Remake. which I was kind of telling you, there's become this trope of Nomura where anything insane that happens in Final Fantasy is like, Nomura. It's Nomura crack. Now, some of us, I don't know about you guys, you love Nomura crack. Gobble, gobble, yum, yum. I do. But then there's a whole wave of people who also don't let Nomura anywhere near this project. Don't let him touch it. He's unhinged. He's not a team player. He comes into a project and messes it up, and he's just completely useless as a director. And you've got these two camps of thinking, and I've always erred somewhere in the middle, and I don't think the middle ground with that, which is recognizing Nomura is this kind of wacky, off the rail, deep thinker. He's a creative who has brought so many like saucy elements, and deep, intriguing arcs into Square Enix's portfolio, the entirety of Kingdom Hearts, which is so crazy. I always wonder how you would deal with Kingdom Hearts.
It's a game of, I think I saw a bit of KH3 when you were playing it. I remember messing around a bit on it, and it was cool. Like,
yeah, I mean that's just like the aesthetic of it and the gameplay, but it's one of the most complex and yes, indeed, convoluted. I don't say this. People say this as like an insult. I like convoluted. I like being challenged. I like my brain. What the fuck is happening? I like that. I slurp that
I think
up.
to an extent I do as well.
Yeah.
Like, it makes you, again, gets you thinking about stuff and like, how,
Yeah. Down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And it's fine if some people don't like that. I think I always kind of trope this a lot. I know it's not cut and dry, but it's one thing that I've always troped and cliched in my head was like, that's Western gamers. Western gamers, very idle, very passive, very lazy. They want narratives just served up to them. They don't really want to engage with the products and the mediums that they're consuming. That's become a trend that is just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Now we're moving away from text-based descaled games, which those games thrived on utilizing and drawing in your imagination. You had to play an active role in bringing those characters to life. It wasn't like the games now, it's just...
No VAs, no in-depth animations, it was...
You had to meet the product halfway. And now we don't have to do that so much. It has created this really idle mentality, I've always felt now with games. But yeah, there's always been this side, especially when Versus came around. So if anyone doesn't know, I mean, most of you do. I'm curious what your feeling with Versus was and now is. That this was Nomura's cancelled game. Decade before FF15 came out. Nomura, and I'm even learning stuff about it now, like things that Nomura was silenced from even being able to talk about Versus 13. He was actively silenced.
Wow.
And there was this whole division that went on where Tabata was getting a lot of heat, and Tabata was having to work with this project that you would hear things about it where people in Square Enix were saying Versus 13 wasn't all there. It was like 70% incomplete. The team didn't know what the hell they were doing. That this was just this kind of wild card thing that they would occasionally poke with a stick. Or like Nomura would hockey stick it down the road a bit, but it had no structure to it. It had no substance. So there was like, and as these stories were coming out, because it was such a mysterious, like besides just the mystery of the game, which was part of its allure.
That's the thing.
Like this dark, gritty.
When you explain stuff to me about it, I kind of feel it is the whole like following behind it, just because it's something they can't get.
Yeah,
it's like,
and it's what you make
always
in your
want,
head.
Yeah, always want what they can't get, and it's sometimes the case that you would get it if they had released it how it was. They'd been like, "Oh, this was awful." Like you can tell they didn't have.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've sort of had elements from 15 and now KH3. They built off of that, but
well, that's the thing, because that's kind of what we were hearing on one side of the narrative, where Tabit and his team were saying, "Oh, this thing weren't all there," and then on the flip side, you would hear completely the opposite. And we were getting like tidbits of info, and it was so hard to piece together. And there were just sides throughout that Versus saga where I had to either, or I felt the call to either support certain comments that were coming out, or go against certain narratives
Yeah.
that were coming out. That it was all Tabitha's fault, there was all this now. I'd be like, yo, come on. Right. Let's acknowledge like the kind of director Nomura is.
Yeah.
There's all the chance that this might not have been the thing that we think it was, that it wasn't this fleshed out, complete, guaranteed to be amazing, which is very much the sentiment that a lot of verses, attack dogs, and zealots, because they are a lot of those kind of individuals. And basically, where the attacks have come from today, over the last couple of days, is somebody taking, and I don't blame them for doing it because people go and revisit videos out of context. Going back to an old verses vid that did really, really well, taking a 1-minute clip, posting it out, where I'm basically kind of saying, like, Nomura has these flaws. He's not all that. It wouldn't have been this guaranteed project. And to then take that little clip and say, I'm a Nomura hater, I ride the D of FF15, that I'm just a 15 fanboy. Now, any of you guys who actually watch more than just segmented bits, you know how much I criticize 15. You know how much
We did an entire podcast on it.
did an entire podcast on it. And you also know I'm not a Nomura hater because there's times for it. For example, when 7 Remake went off the deep end at the end, it really does. It goes. It's the only way I can describe it. I don't know how you feel about the 7 Remake ending. I was discussing it with Bree yesterday, but big side to me where I could feel the changes happening in 7 Remake, and little by little, I could tell they were going in some direction, and I had this feeling where, if you're going to change 7 Remake, commit. Don't go half-assing it. And at least for me, and I know other people who had doubts about doing a reimagining over a like-for-like remake, the ending, committing that hard to them was, okay. I've come to accept that the changes that they've done at the ending of the remake, you can't undo them. They're irreversible. Things have fundamentally now changed with FF7 and the story and Sephiroth, how these characters are coming into this and the motivations and the goals. Everything has changed. And for a lot of people, it was like a quick and easy process to accept that. For other people, they were still ragey. So ragey. And the first thing that came out the gate then was Nomura's ruined the remake. This is why I don't want Nomura anywhere near this. The guy who actually was there at the building and creation of it.
Yeah.
This is why I don't want Nomura near it. The dude was there to make the game, right? I mean, it's not like these are new directors who are taking something beloved, who have no concept of knowing of it. This is Katase, Najima. They were the ones who created it. And for me, at least, if anyone has the right, if you need the right to go and change something, it's the dudes who made it.
Exactly. Could you imagine the outcry if they had given it to new directors and they change it even more? People would be like, oh, why was Nomura not on this game? Why was he not allowed to go near it? It's
exactly that.
You can never please anyone with it. It's
and the thing was that a lot of people doing that saying, Nomura is the reason why the remake ending has gone so wild, so off the deep end, and it wasn't. So that was an example, but I was creating videos defending Nomura on it, saying no. Well, there was an interview where it was basically Katase and the other director. It was all their thinking to go nuts. And it was actually Nomura who was going, yo, guys, all right, take a chill pill, right? All right, do you think we should do this? I think we need to cycle this back. I think we need to keep this a little bit more under wraps. Let's keep this a little bit. Now, you know that when it's freaking Nomura is the one who's trying to rein it in, that's how out there they were going. So that's the thing. So even that characterization of Nomura being this wacky guy who just injects insanity into an otherwise stable and reliable project, even that's not right. I mean, people are complex, people are multifaceted, but the fan base aren't. They just sort of direct everything into tropes. And that's why it was very annoying to see that over the course of Versus to 15, I have done things defending it, I've done things criticizing it, I've said criticisms about Nomura, and I've been his biggest fanboy. And what's annoying is that you can never on YouTube just make a video. Like if I want to criticize Nomura in a video, I can't just criticize him. I have to go and do all the concession speak. Oh, though I'm saying this, I do recognise it's that and that and that. It's kind of like whenever I've even done criticism of 15, I've had people call me a 15 hater.
Yeah.
A 15 hater. When Square Enix were doing their things with NFTs and some of the points on diversity or something, I would make a POV on it, and they say, "Oh, you're fueling the hate train." Me. And then on the other side, I'm a fanatic. I'm a cheerleader. I'm a fanboy. It's just so hard because you can never. I feel like anyone who has like a decent, balanced view should be able to both criticize and praise the things that they love. They should hold both of these positions, and just to see how little that exists, that fans are either one or the other. And that was my main criticism with the Versus 13 crew and their petition. It was a small group. I had barely any followers, and some of them are now going back to my old video and saying, yeah, think of how many petition signs we would have got if it weren't for this guy. Motherfuckers, I did videos, and then I had some of y'all come at it with hate and rage, and then I sat down. I came to the table with them, and I gave them more time of day than most content creators who just got a bunch of vitriol thrown their way. And this was back in the day, and I sat down with them, and I said, if you want this petition to do well, okay, take out of the petition all of this hateful language, which in the petition there was, 15 is a betrayal, Tabitha has come in and ruined this thing, the Noctis of now is this and that, and just all of this, where you're making it, if I sign this petition, I have to hate 15. To want Versus 13 and to recognize that was an amazing concept, an intriguing concept, something that should be recycled back. And that we're going to be seeing it with Yuzura. I was even watching today that Yuzura is very, very likely to be Noctis's nobody. All the signs and the hints. I know you don't know what a nobody is.
Can you tell me what a nobody is, or is it
Oh, God, right, okay. So there's
opening a can of worms? Which...
There's Heartless, and there's Corridors of Darkness, and I'm not even going to begin.
Okay.
But a nobody is basically just like a shelled out version where it's like the same form as somebody.
Like a shadow version.
But not even that, because nobodies have also carried different forms. But it's basically essentially the essence of them, but extracted from the entirety of who they are.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty much. And Yuzura has all the hints that he's Yuzura's nobody. He has a little earring that has the nobody symbol.
Right.
He has a chocobo medallion on his jacket, just like Tifa does on her bracelet. There was even talks about him struggling to fight Bahamut in his realm, which all points towards Verum Rex and Yuzura coming from a Final Fantasy universe. And I think he even says, Yuzura says, I don't always look like this.
Right, okay.
And this was like Nomura's revenge. This was, I never forgot what happened with Versus. And I've always repped it, and I would still rep you guys if you haven't signed the petition to do it, because I don't know if you guys think petitions actually have any effect. I was chatting with Brie about this, I
think they do to some extent.
To some extent.
If you get a good amount of people, obviously, and like you said, if it's not a attack force of people that are just hating, then you're going to get, because why the companies are going to look towards a petition which is signed by haters and people that are just out there to...
Well, that is what I always said with Versus. I said, they're not going to create something that is going to undermine or attack, obviously, not starkly, not on face value, like be a backhand to Final Fantasy 15. They're just not going to do it. Now, can you do it subtly? Yeah, and that's what Nomura has done. He's weaved it into KH3 in this subtle way where it is kind of saying, yo, fuck you for what you did to my project.
Yeah.
Fuck you for what you did to my characters. I'm bringing it back. But I'm changing it. I'm doing it in a way that's not undermining another piece of, content that some fans love. That's the thing. I'm really shocked to see how many, I shouldn't say shocked, surprised. How many people message me saying 15 is their favourite, it's their first, they're onto their 6th playthrough of it. There's some genuine, like, big love for 15. I have love for it, but I've not felt called to go back and play it. I feel like I'm just about getting the feeling to go back and play 15.
Yeah, we would pity us, especially. We were talking about it yesterday.
We want to go. We want to go. Petitions don't work. Well, this is the thing. Like, for years and years, I was part of remake petition groups. Like, after I worked with the Versus crew to change some of that more toxic, like venomous dialogue, I saw the petition jump up because I was advertising it out. I was sending it off and saying, yo, guys, go sign this. This is something I could put my name to. What about you guys? And people are like, actually, yeah. Yeah, because I love 15, but I also like Versus. I wouldn't mind to see it recycled. Now, maybe those petitions did something. Maybe all of those years of being in petition groups for the remake made the remake happen. I'd like to think that. Do I think that that's a bit of a hopeful view? That us fans, our voices are actually heard? I think, to a degree, any developer wants to know that there's some interest there.
Yeah.
That,
for sure.
That this thing is wanted and desired. Now, how much of a precedence and importance for them is that? I think it's small. I think the bigger part is, will this thing make some money?
Yeah.
Will this thing make money? Will it sell? And that's their main focus. And nothing told me more that was the case when, after years of petitioning for the remake, imagining what it would look like, setting up this channel, because when we heard it was happening, motherfuckers coming out and saying that, oh yeah, them making it episodic is just pure greed. Pure greed. I was like, guys, are you crazy? It's a text-based descaled game. I literally did the calculations. I'm like, oh, if this scene is just voice, or if you take like the traversal from calm to Midgar, which is 8 seconds, and extrapolate that into what a real traversal would feel like, you're 4xing the game.
Yeah.
It's just the very obvious principle of you can't take a game compressed like that, blow it up, and for it to fit in the same confines without skipping huge beats and elements. And it blew my freaking mind how few people got that. And I was like, no. This is no. I've been fighting for this remake for so long, and yes, am I scared about them doing episodic? Yes, do I think it will break up the continuity? Yes, do I think that there's an opportunity for Square Enix to exploit it with DLC and other packages in between? Yes.
Oh, sure.
But at the same time, I was also repping, no, they need to do it this way. And it's, Square Enix fanboy. Can't acknowledge their greed. No, I can acknowledge their greed. Just like when they then told us, we're only going to get the remake. I mean, this is what they literally bribed us with, man. And they knew they were bullshitting us at this point. They said, we will only do the 7 remake, or even think about it, if there's a Final Fantasy that sells better than 7 did. And this was when 15 was out in circulation. That pissed me off to no end. Because for years I've been fighting for that, and I felt dead inside. I was like, okay, well, it's not done. It's not done. Final Fantasy 15 has not outsold FF7. Now, they said something has to sell bigger than FF7. Now, why would you say that? That's literally just saying, oh yeah, you have to buy our latest game if you want to. And now the funny thing about that is they knew the talks about 7 remake. They knew 2 years prior to that statement that they were doing it, that they were working on it. So when they said that, they were just straight blackmailing us. That's greedy as fuck.
Yeah.
Now I come out and I called that out hard because that was some straight bullshit. And they knew it was, because then, 2 months later after that point, after all hope for me that some remake was happening was dead, I'd put on my little clown nose for that 7 remake. Like every year, this was 1 year, I was like, no, I'm doing it. Boom, there it was.
Yeah.
Quite literally like the hateful in God of War. Only once I'd finally given up did it actually happen. And yeah, the interesting thing about that is, FF15 didn't outsell FF7. I think the numbers today, I was looking at them. We will get into the God of War streaming a bit, guys. I I had to get this itch out. You know, I had to get this itch out, especially with where was it? So just some of the comments that I've been getting over the last 48 hours. And again, I just want to say this isn't to like attack people who left these comments, because honestly, we don't care.
No,
I don't actually care if people like me, if people don't like me, if people think I'm like this guy is an idiot. This guy is an idiot. I didn't get past 8-second mark of the video. As soon as he said that he's solidified, I said I solidified. I'm solid now. He has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. No, it's Square Enix and Tabata who are to blame, period. Okay, so Nomura is just this godlike being. Just this godlike being who everything that he touches turns to gold and has no problems whatsoever. This is the mentality. No, that you've got people on the other side who just hate Nomura through and through. You've got people with that kind of mentality. And I've kind of erred in the middle where I'm like, Nomura, genius creative director. Genius at being this person who sort of jumps on a project, injects something, crafts a narrative, designs a character, gives an idea. And some of that's really freaking challenging. I think a really good director should make the team around him be like, fucking hell, man, how are we going to get this thing like into a piece? How are we going to bring this thing together? Because anything that is like powerful and is going to do well should be difficult to make. The biggest problem with games right now is they're trying to create a formula where it's like, oh, how can we copy and paste and shit this thing out?
Yeah.
How can we even like create an AI that can just shit the games out where we don't have to do anything whatsoever? No, I think a good director should be really challenging and kind of difficult to work with. But on the flip side of that, I've also said he ain't a director. Yes, he has directed Kingdom Hearts, but he is not good at directing a project. Managing, like Katase can, he's brilliant at it. Managing a whole blanket of individuals, which a role of a director versus a creative director, very, very different.
I think you said to me, he's even said it himself, hasn't he, on occasion, that doesn't like that.
That's the hilarious thing about it.
Yeah.
I've come out and I've made that exact statement, and people are like, no, Pez, you're wrong. And I'm like, let me just pull up an article where literally Nomura himself has acknowledged that he doesn't really like to be the sole, like, in charge. And it doesn't play to his strong points. Being in a project that way. Now, that's why the fact that he's doing... he did KH3 and FF7 Remake simultaneously. And now he's going to be doing Kingdom Hearts 4 and 7 Remake Rebirth at the same time. You think anyone can handle 2 projects like that, being the sole director of it? No, he can't. That's why he needs Katase. That's why he needed a couple of other directors. I always forget the new guy's name. Division 5 guy came over from Division 5. I can't remember. He's not really like a Yoshi P in that sense. Yoshi P can also handle an entire project. That's never been Nomura, and he's kind of always acknowledged that. You know what I mean? So it gets so disconnected from reality. Like some of these fanboys, you can like Nomura without turning him into this.
It's a dangerous
messiah, like give him a messiah complex.
It's a dangerous opinion to have someone, really. I think, anyway.
Well, that's the thing, though. It was kind of the case with Death Stranding coming out.
Oh, yeah, with Hideo Kojima, yeah. I mean, I love Hideo Kojima. I love his work.
You can love him, but you can also acknowledge like some of his stuff goes...
Yeah.
It goes deep end. It's tough to... You can really respect and love these directors while also recognising they're still mortal and they're still human. And that's sometimes criticism of them.
Yeah.
It's fair. And criticism doesn't mean hate. That's the thing. Criticism doesn't mean hate. Because, I'm all right with him. He's just an FF15 dick rider who tends to criticise Nomura and bashes 13X like Tablet 15 is so much better when what versus was supposed to be, whether I don't like him, some of the other claims he makes, like this one, and everyone believes him. What do you mean believe him? I'm giving my subjective opinion. That's like literally me saying this game's 9 out of 10. People are like, everyone believes him. Like, no, mofo. You're also supposed to form your other opinion.
Exactly, and that's what people forget on the internet especially, is that you do need to form your own opinion about it and not... It's like when reviewers come out with games and give them scores. Like, I have played games which have come out as shit, and I've been actually like, yeah, I actually enjoyed that for what it was. Like, wasn't the best, but
yeah, and it's always frustrating to always have to try to skirt the line of that that nuance. Where it's like, I'm saying this thing about this game. No, I really loved 13. Every time I wanted to make a 13 video, like a passion video, why it was great, why the themes were deep, why that character really went somewhere, you're like, oh, are you blind? Did you not realise that the game was linear? It's like, fucking hell, come on, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I want to be able to talk about things I love without having to go, but I acknowledge that. I acknowledge the weaknesses of. Do you know what I mean? And it gets really cumbersome at that point. And yeah, I used to not do it so much. Like, if I felt passionate about something, I would just scat it right then and there. And it just leaves a lot of opening, I found, where people can just take that one bit from years ago and bring it back and take a big old fat shit on you with it. which is fine. Maybe they don't know all of my views. They don't know all of my insights and POVs on it. But yeah, quickly before we start back on the stream, because the only other part of this whole conversation that really jumped out to me, when they said that we'd only get 7 Remake after something sold better, and then 15 wasn't that. Well, I've always wondered, did you guys ever think that the game sales of FF15 were a bit sus? Because they said that they broke even in the first 24 hours. And they said that they did it with 5 million game sales. Where is it? Let me find this bad boy. Yeah, Final Fantasy has now hit 10 million sales worldwide. I think that's a little bit of an old number. I think it could be higher than that. FF7 went to about 13.9 million. But yeah, still really, really freaking high. But back in the day, we were told that 5 million of those sold within the first 24 hours. Which is an insane number. And then it's also insane the fact that it took many, many, many years to even get up to like 7 mil, 8 mil. I remember something about seeing the progression of the sales. It's like, it feels like there's like a steep drop off. Very, very steep drop off. And I've never really, you then got some article saying this is the best selling Final Fantasy of all time, the fastest selling. It always seems sketchy to me. And now it feels extra sketchy when we've just had God of War Ragnarok sales. So it's saying it's Sony's fastest selling, right?
It's Sony, fastest selling first party title. They sold 5.1 million copies during its first week.
During its first week? 5.1 million during its first week. What time frame is that? Like the first week? It's like 7 days?
Yeah.
Because God of War, like, let's be real, God of War is infinitely bigger than Final Fantasy. At least that's my perception. It's a much bigger game with a much wider appeal than Final Fantasy 15 would have.
I think it is now. Like, I obviously know there was a lot of love for the original games, like,
right?
But it's kind of, I mean,
it's got a bigger 10, right? A much bigger.
I suppose the fact that God of War's managed to do it, and it's literally a Sony exclusive game as well. Like, it's obviously Final Fantasy 15 came out on Xbox and PlayStation, didn't it, as well?
Yeah.
So the fact that God of War's managed to do this in on one console.
Yeah, maybe that's what the nuance of it is, one console. But wasn't 15 exclusive as well? I always forget. I when it comes to exclusivity, this is one area that I'm very, very blind with, and maybe I don't give so much credence and attention to. The number of people who harp really hard on when's this coming to PC, and that all of Square Enix's woes are because they're not porting to multiple consoles. And there's definitely areas where I can see that is the case, like First Soldier, just keeping that on mobile, not sticking it on consoles or PC. Yeah, there's clear cases where I can see that's problematic. Some people take it a lot further than I do. I don't know. This is a big conversation that's obviously coming up, especially as today. We're getting a little bit of extra in the Sony Microsoft
we are, yes.
battle. Microsoft acquiring Activision. I think it's for 46.1 billion or something.
Crazy money.
And it's having to go through like loads of country regulators. I think Brazil and another country have already signed off on it. I think the UK are looking like we're going to sign off on it now. A lot coming out and basically saying that Sony's claim that it would hurt the market, it would hurt the industry, monopolize, which is a part of exclusivity, isn't it? Like that's the big aspect of it. And some regulators are saying it's absurd.
I personally think that Microsoft obtaining Activision is a good thing. I think Activision they're not great. Like, they've obviously got some big titles under their name and things like that, and they obviously own like Blizzard and have WoW, but I'm hoping Microsoft will drive them. I don't know whether they will or not.
Well, it's like they can't be any worse.
They can't be any worse.
It's like Blizzard can't be any worse.
Yeah.
Let them get bought up so that company doesn't just completely implode in on itself more than it already has.
If it allows Microsoft to be a bit more sort of watchful over what they do and things like that, I kind of feel like, especially like Blizzard themselves, have been a bit too sort of had free reign to do what they want and not listen to stuff. And I think maybe having that, I could be wrong. Like, it could be a bad move, but
68 billion, Andy says. 69 billion. Imagine that's the number, 69. Just take a big 69 on the whole gaming industry. But I do agree, though, like, there is a very strong chance that Microsoft will do what they've done with a lot of the things, not even just outside of gaming. Do they try to monopolize? Do they try to shoehorn and chokehold and stranglehold innovation and keep it for themselves? And that's come at the cost of jobs and progression and many other companies and upstarters getting absolutely crushed. Fuck yeah. But you know who also has always been doing that? Sony.
Yeah.
Sony stomped Sega back in the day. They used their clout to outmuscle them. And that's why I do understand why there needs to be these regulatory involvements to try to stop that happening to such a degree. But it is also kind of a little bit hypocritical on Sony, and you know why they're doing it.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
You know why they're doing it.
It's actually 69 billion, no joke.
Is it actually 69 billion? I thought it was at 68.1. It's actually 69 billion. Lol, that's so funny. It's also funny the fact that Bitcoin also went up to 69k before it like tanked, like lost 80% of its value. Just like 69, just that. I feel like the universe finds that number funny.
Yeah.
Like, if there is a God, he laughs at 69 jokes, big time. But yeah, with the sales, you might actually be right on that front. The whole shipped versus sold discussion.
Oh,
shipped versus sold. What's been shipped out to retailers and what's actually been sold off the shelves. And I think I did recall going into the nuance of that with 15, but I can't remember. But yeah, that seems more likely. This is sold, isn't it?
This is sold, yes. Yeah.
Because it still blows my mind how F15 could do 5 mil in 24 hours, but if it's shipped, it makes a lot more sense. Versus if God of War's actually done 5.1, and Andy says it's in 5 days.
5 days?
Yeah.
Why is this TV not coming on?
That's strong. So yeah, anyway, let's get on with the stream. That was just Sega had to sneeze out. I think I'm really excited to see KH4 and Yuzura, where Versus continues. And I also don't know, I feel like I heard that there is a chance of a Versus reboot. I feel like Nomura hinted at it.
I mean, that'd be cool.
I mean, it must be the Yuzura thing that is the reboot, but I don't know if there plans to be something outside of that.
Imagine if...
The only reason I really want that is I wholeheartedly believe that after, you know, like how Yoshi P have got 14 and 16 going, and that's where they're branching. I feel like that branch, they're finally like building traction. They're starting to finesse and refine the technologies and the teams they're working with.
Yeah.
And we're going to start seeing more products. And on that side of things, you had Yoshi P asking the community, do you guys want to see more Evilise stuff? Evilise being a blanket of like tactics and 12.
That sort of unique style, isn't it? Of pick out,
And I feel there's a strong chance that we're going to see some of a sort of alt Evilise game come out of that branch. And then out of the Katase Nomura side, of course, we're going to have the 7 stuff and all of the like Crisis Core reunion and whatnot. But I really think there needs to be another Fabula Nova Crystallis game. I really do. The fact that they planned that to be an ecosystem within itself, like back when we did get Versus announced, they announced it alongside Final Fantasy 13. It was Final Fantasy Gito back then, but Type 0 my favorite Final Fantasy. I love it. I love it, man. And verses. Do you mean? So back then they had like this concept of an F&C ecosystem, and it got pooped. Agito got delayed and staggered, and we got it way after the East. And when it did come out, it was literally attached on the back of a 15 demo.
Oh, right.
I feel like a lot of people only got Type 0, and I'm one of them, only got Type 0 because they piggybacked onto 15. You know, and then, of course, all the breaks and the time delays that happened. But that's like the intention they did have with F&C. And I just feel like with Lindsay, with Etro, with that dark, like, what feels really rich to me, and I feel like that was the vibe that Versus really had. It had like this richness with it, everything that Stella seemed to present. You know, she's still living rent-free in everybody's head because she was this mysterious character who was challenging, but also kind of just like lovely and wholesome. But then at a drop of a hat, she's got a rapier out and she's like ready to throw down.
I don't think I'd actually seen it before.
Yeah.
Oh, you were obviously watching the video this morning. I was like, she looks pretty cool. Looks more interesting than Luna Freya did. Like,
you did, didn't you?
Yeah.
You said she looked more interesting than Luna Freya, and yeah, I reckon she's going to come back. And that it was just all attached to something that fans just haven't been able to get over, which is all of the theories that came with what the story was about. Some people say this is what it was, and it's spawning this whole... They call themselves versus truthers. That's actually a terminology now.
versus truthers. That's
If you're a versus truther.
sounds a bit like a cult.
That's the thing, it is a cult. It is one. And what cults don't realise is that people who are even actually kind of ideologically aligned with them, and they do actually kind of have the same kind of interest and intrigue, but you're not cultish enough. Fuck you. And you turn people who would otherwise be your supporters
into
your enemies.
I'm not going to go near them.
Yeah, don't want to go near it, don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
And the fact that, that's how they're still, even after the amount of work I did with that group, they're still treating me with it. Which I don't give a shit. Again, I really don't give a damn. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, like I said,
I'm too old. Yeah. I'm butter scraped over too much bread at this point to give a single fuck what anyone thinks.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like I said to you yesterday, though, like how many people that are attacking you aren't the same people that you helped 5 or 6 years ago? Because it's like, you're going to get new people come on.
Because people's passion go in cycles.
Yeah, so they're going to get to the point. The people that did it like 5 or 6 years are going to be like, oh, get to the point like you do with stuff. Like it's
you just get to a point of acceptance with it, or
and people are always swapping and changing. Now you've got loads of new people come forward, and they're like, "Who's this guy?"
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, and it just spawned a never-endless spiral of this truthing thing, the truth of what happened, the truth of who was at fault, the truth of the story. And the thing is that the fact that it is that murky, and it is that amorphous, the fact that there was silencing happening, the fact that it was such a complex thing that evolved and changed over so many years, it's really hard. And I don't think we'll ever really know the full extent of what Versus was going to be, what it was about.
No.
I've seen people say things, I've heard everything from Luna was actually going to be the name of a drug, and then Noctis was going to get arrested by the Insomnia PD.
Oh.
He was going to get chucked to jail, and that he got hooked on Luna, and that when he took Luna, it allowed him to go into the dream world, or like a dream state, like a hazy, drugged out state, and that's when he would keep seeing his father and Stella, that Stella would die early.
Right, okay.
There was a whole thing that, he was just going to sleep a lot, so it wasn't like drugs involved.
No.
But he was a sleepy boy, and that reality, he wasn't going to be sure, kind of like Tyr in this.
Yeah.
Right, he's gone in such a state where he doesn't know what's real anymore. And it was very much that vibe. And that even came through on Yazura. When they're in the car, he's in the same place as Noctis. It's like, is any of this real anymore?
Yeah.
Any of you beginning to like question, I can't remember the exact quote, but it had that kind of psychological mystery to it. And then I was going to see other darker stuff, that there was going to be like bloodletting, blood sacrifices, that doing something associated with death, which the Kalem family was very much attached to, that allowed you to see the souls of people and
that sounds cool.
Gain powers and stuff. Yeah.
Sounds like a cool concept. It's something I'll definitely want to.
Cool concept. Some of it sounds like really out there, and in an echo chamber, you're like, nah.
Maybe they just thought at the time they wrote it all, like it was just too much for the current, for gamers at that point. Maybe it is something they're going to sort of
maybe
bring out later on and be like, actually, people are ready for this sort of thing.
Yeah,
now,
we never had a mature FF.
Yeah.
We never had one that was, splattering blood up a citadel.
Yeah.
And like blood everywhere. And that was, Versus was the first broach into that. And the fact that I feel is a nexus point to where we are now, where we've got 16 splattering up a toddler's face. We've got Strangers of Paradise squishing people up walls. And that, this mature theme has...
Maybe they'll wait to see how 16 does. And if people, I'm sure, 16's going to get good response. And they will think, actually,
Yeah, for sure. I think so. And even in 7 Remake, the fact that, blood wasn't a thing when they did show it was like purple goo. And then even by episode Yuffie, the DLC, now you've got Yuffie's face covered in blood. Like even you can literally feel the crossing point where Square Enix are like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go more mature with it. They're finally talking about us fans and they're like, oh yeah, you old motherfuckers. You're old as shit.
Yeah.
They came out in an interview the other day and they're like, we as directors, we feel old. Like, however old you fans feel, and we know you're getting there, we feel it as well.
Old and decrepit.
All right, anyway.
Yes.
So those are my thoughts, those are my feels. Oh my God, no way did I just spend 46 minutes. Oh God, guys, I thought I just only spent 20 minutes talking about it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh,
Shows
jeez.
how passionate this man is.
I told people to skip along in the timeline who was just here for God of War. I feel like, should we even restart the stream? Jeez. Or should we just go?
Let's just go.
Yeah.
Do you want to restart it?
I feel like I didn't realise I'd been rambling for that long. We're going to quickly restart the stream. I feel like when we put this playthrough up, and people like 40-something minutes are consumed with something they probably don't know about, that's not bueno. That's not bueno. Oh my God. Okay.
All right.
But I do also want to do this more, and I've been thinking about how to work this around streams, whether it's at the back end or whether it's on the second stream or just chatting on Twitch, because a lot of people have said that they really enjoy just sort of kicking back and chatting, and I do enjoy it too.
Yeah, I don't realise this.
Yeah, blimey.
Right.
Damn it, Gene, you're supposed to rein me in. I just want to quickly, before we bounce off, guys, how do you guys feel on all of that? Before we quickly restart the stream, everything I may have just got, where do you guys land on it? With Nomura, with Versus, with the series and its progression? Should have brought the porch into the stream. So I would do a porch cast, but it's 44 stories high and I'm scared of heights. So
We're going to do it. I'll get him to do it. Don't worry.
it'll be fear casts.
As long as you're facing away from the glass, you'll be all right.
Give Noctis another game, man. Coach Jess, that's the thing. I'm actually finding myself wanting that. And I mean that in the sense that even though we do have Yuzura and there was like this star that Sora spoke to, where the star was basically a female voice, and she's like, they took away they took away my form, they took away my identity. It's basically like the voice of Stella.
Ah.
I mean, like, I got axed, and like Sora's really sympathizing with her. That's how on the nose this Versus referencing stuff was. It was that on the nose with it. And while it is coming back in Yuzura form, there is still a side of me I'm like, even then, I would be fine with that, just repackaging Versus into something else, which is happening, and we've definitely got that. There's still a side to me I'm like, I want something more direct. I want something that is actually Fabula Nova Crystallis, that is actually a reboot. I let Nomura do it, and maybe KH4 would be the tee-up to allowing it, like if it is Yuzura's Noctis is nobody, then we do get the real Noctis and the real Fabula Nova Crystallis. I don't feel that's going to happen. I don't feel it's likely. I feel like it would contradict FF15 too much. to actually allow that to happen. But I will be honest, there is a side of me that wants it. I want to see what that was all about. I want to see what that version of Noctis was. Just one more F&C, man. That's the truth of it. I love F&C. She got deleted big time. You need to do more Portugal streams. We have got another one, haven't we?
We have, yes.
Yeah. We was having a waffle about collectivism and individualism and how different Final Fantasy villains.
We left it in the library for a bit, but...
Yeah, different motives, and are they based on, like, selfish individual, selfish, like, collective motives, which villains we feel, or I feel, I was kind of describing them to you, fall into what camps. Basically, do you want that video, a long porchcast, talking about the philosophy of villains' ideologies, that's longer, or do you want a shorter video that is discussing teabagging Final Fantasy characters and who deserves to be teabagged? Which one, guys? You can only have one. The other will be cast into the abyss. I think Dark Noctis Ray Chase wouldn't suit. Would love to see who it would be. Do you think? I mean, I think Ray can do Dark. I mean, he did obviously Eve. Was it Adam? I think it was Eve in the Automata. He's played some villainous characters in animes. But I know what you mean. He doesn't. I feel like he's always his voice is like a shadow villain, like one you wouldn't really expect as a villain. You're not like your classic gruff, evil voice.
I think it's good. Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm saying that he has a range. Ray Chase has a great range on him. Give us the teabagging.
A long video
no
on
one
teabagging.
is safe from teabagging.
You want a long video on teabagging we will make?
A 2 hour.
2 hour teabagging video.
2 hours of teabag. Oh wait, who's going to teabag who? I'm going to teabag you. Come here. Come, X-Ray Saurus. All right, you are just jumping in, mate. But we are actually going to just quickly reset the stream. Hey, Pez, did you play New Automata and find Noctis' sword? Did I? I don't know if I did. No, I don't think I did. But I did do a lot of New Automata. I did almost kind of complete it. Try to get a lot of endings. I know, my memory is hazy. I really want to play New Automata again. Amazing game. We'd have a really good playthrough of that.
Yeah, I haven't played it, so...
All right, anyway, I need to pee. Sorry for the waffle. Went really long, but we're just going to quickly restart the stream.
We will, and we're back.
And actually get on to the God of War playthrough.
We will.
Keep out.
Keep out.